Hello guys. I've been going through this video with Piers Morgan this morning a little bit while I was with my baby boy, but I didn't have much time to go through properly. So I'm gonna do it now. So I decided to make a live stream and we guys can look at it together and see how it goes. Okay, I just need to sign in into this. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm gonna have to do that separately. Okay guys, yeah, so let's go and see what they're gonna talk about. But I see it is really interesting. They cover quite a lot of topics.
I'm encouraging everybody to get out and vote, please.
It ain't over till it's over.
I think Kamala Harris needs a catchphrase.
Kamala forever.
That's better. Okay, how about I'm down with democracy? It's just clean.
Unite for America!
As if it matters what any of these Hollywood actors think about politics. They are professional pretenders.
America rejected the political state and rejected Hollywood.
There's an important conversation we need to have about the toxicity amongst white dudes in this country.
The whiny liberal woman turned away so many would-be Democrat voters.
On the right, quote unquote, you don't really have these sort of saggy, very effeminate, whingy, cryy men. They seem pretty masculine. They seem like people that can actually do stuff.
There was an issue that was racial. I think it was gender, but I also think class played a major role in it.
Yes. I could take this claptrap before the election. President Trump's resounding victory was a stinging rebuke for many supporters of the star-studded Harris campaign. And the Democrat blame game has now begun in earnest. At the top of the hit list are the stars themselves, the cavalcade of Hollywood celebrities who warned that Trump, the sequel, would be a real-life disaster movie.
If you ask me if America is ready for its first woman president, I only got one thing to say. It's about damn time!
So I'm encouraging everybody to get out and vote, please.
We are so happy.
I can't believe that Eminem endorsed Kamala as well. I didn't know that. I did just notice this morning. Oh, yeah, that's a shame. That's a shame. And I'm gonna switch off my mic now because I think probably you can hear it twice. I forgot to switch off the mic. I'm literally doing my live stream first time, so I'm a bit apologies for a bit being a bit a donut. So let's go.
Happy to be standing here on this stage.
Yeah, hold on. I got more.
Kamala Harris needs a catchphrase.
Kamala forever.
That's better. Okay, how about I'm down with democracy? It's just clean.
Even Iron Man, yeah, it's crazy. I love that guy, and he's probably sold his soul either as well. I mean, okay, let's go.
Pa que tú lo sepa, yo soy boricua. Unite for America! It ain't over till it's over.
Unfortunately, it is Mr. De Niro, but we all know now how the story ended. Instead of catapulting Harris to the White House, the parade of millionaire mouthpieces appears to have turned off voters who are more concerned about the lack of money in their own pockets than the state of the southern border. Now, the Washington Examiner reports the celebrities may have been paid small fortunes by the billion-dollar campaign, including a cool $1 million to Oprah Winfrey's production company. She denies any personal payment, but not the fact that $1 million went to her company. Tinseltown is not taking the feedback very well. A column in Variety this week said, "Stop blaming celebrity endorsements for Kamala's loss. We need to hear from artists now more than ever." Do we? Or is the message from this result that maybe we need to hear a lot less from them? But there are some green shoots. Mastermind George Clooney, who led the Biden ruthless coup, says he's taking a step back from politics. The question is whether his peers will follow him and whether Hollywood will now learn that maybe woke really is broke. Well, here to debate is YouTube's premier pop cultural commentator, Gary Beekler from the Nerdrotic channel, author and critic Will Jordan, aka The Critical Drinker, whose own movie Rogue Elements, a Ryan Drake story, hits YouTube on November 25th. And joining the boys, Uncensored's own Esther Krakow, plus Ernest Owens, author of The Case for Cancel Culture. Ernest, let me start with you. Isn't there a better case, given that a lot of celebrities have led the charge for cancel culture over the years, is it not time to cancel a lot of them? when it comes to politics and just tell them to keep their big, unwanted noses out of it, because nobody seemed to listen to any of them at this election. In fact, they actively went and voted for the big bad guy.
I think it's funny how every election cycle people begin to backtrack and be hypocritical about where their stances are. Look, both candidates had celebrity endorsements. Amber Rose, Kid Rock, they were pushing for Trump, some NFL players as well. So I don't really think to try to make this a celebrity focal point is necessarily what really happened here in the United States. I think what really happened here was that people had an issue with wealth in general. And the Republicans did a good job of hiding their wealth, right? They had a billionaire running for re-election, yet they were trying to act like only the Democrats and the Hollywood elite and the wealthy were on the side of the Harris campaign. I think that there was an issue that was racial. I think it was gender, but I also think class played a major role in it.
Oh, there wasn't, honestly, Ernest. Yeah. I could take this claptrap before the election, but the idea that Kamala Harris lost because of her skin colour or her gender or any of the rest of it is total bullshit. She lost because she was a terrible candidate who had no real policies, and her only playbook was to go right back to Hillary Clinton, who also lost, and say, here are my famous mates, and by the way, Trump's a Nazi and the new Hitler. That's all she had.
Another woman. You notice the pattern you just mentioned, that Trump loses to men. He loses to men, but he beats women. So no pun intended.
I'm sorry, Ernest. You sound desperate. Let me bring in Nadrotic.
Sure. You can't even vote. You didn't even vote in this election. You couldn't.
It's crazy, isn't it? I like the Piers Morgan since he stopped doing the mainstream media. When they fired him for insulting the prince, whatever, the Prince Harry wife, or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I think that what happened. And I like when he started the show, and he's bringing people from both sides, and they just arguing all the time, and you can see both sides literally in the same room. And I think he picked a side. He picked a side very quickly. And I like what he did with his reach, with his media. Okay, guys, let's continue.
Couldn't even vote if you wanted
Ernest, you're talking nonsense.
So,
Let me bring in Ernest.
You want to
Ernest, calm down. That's enough claptrap for this part
else?
of the segment. Hang on. Let me bring in Nadrotic. Nadrotic, the thing is, when the Democrats are trying to explain why they lost literally everything to Trump in this election, it kind of sounds very hollow, because the truth is it was pretty much everything. It was economy, it was immigration, it was wokeism, and I genuinely do think it was Kamala Harris just producing endless celebrities, multimillionaires, coming out of their mansions to tell the people to vote for her. I just think it backfired. People don't want to hear it.
America absolutely rejected that entire apparatus, which is the woke mind virus and all the issues that have faced us over the past 4 years. And we had a very unique election. We had a choice between a president we've already lived under for 4 years and the previous administration. So that's very unique in my lifetime, probably never see it again. And the choice was clear. I did vote, by the way, for President Trump happily, because I'm tired of this crap. And I'm not the kind of guy who says I told you so, but a lot of us in my sphere have been telling you this for years. They have been fighting against the grain, Piers. And it finally, the American public had enough.
Yeah. I mean, Esther, these are two celebrity messages post the election. John Cusack, who drank so much woke Kool-Aid, I'm surprised he can get out of his bedroom in the morning. He said the fact that the country would choose to destroy itself by voting in a convicted felon, rapist, and Nazi is a sign of deep nihilism, to put it mildly. I wouldn't like to see him putting it non-mildly, but it's that kind of hysteria, which is just so self-defeating for the Democrats, isn't it?
I think people rejected these Hollywood stars, which mainly because of what Hollywood is, right? Hollywood as an industry has produced its fair share of predators and sexual deviants and addicts. I mean, the idea that people like J-Lo, whose super predator ex, now she runs away from mention of, like, her hair is on fire, is laughable.
all the P Diddy story, I think literally just dropped the last nail in the coffin. That was so important. The Epstein Island was big, exposed quite a lot, but still we see maybe Trump gonna expose much more of that. But I mean the Diddy thing, just last nail in the coffin, mate. Yeah, exactly.
Right? Why would anyone vote for someone's tax policy based on what Taylor Swift says? It's like asking a badger for medical advice. It doesn't make sense. It wasn't just a rejection. It wasn't just a rejection of Hollywood and the industry and the debauchery and all the things that are wrong with them that they should probably take a look in the mirror and sort themselves out. It was the fact that these people are uniquely narcissistic. How dare you think that because you can sing and dance and act and play pretend, you somehow get to tell us who to vote for based on the Ukraine war? They can't even find Ukraine on a map. It's ludicrous. So I'm happy that they've now been soundly rejected, and hopefully this is some time for some reflection and to actually realise that they're not as important as they think they are.
Yeah, there are two things I just don't want to hear much from Hollywood again. One is political advice about how I should vote, and secondly, it's moral guidance. Yeah. I mean, this is the town that let Harvey Weinstein do his stuff for God knows how long, and then they all pretended they knew nothing about any of it. It's like, do me a favour. And I think it's a pretty morally bankrupt place. Critical drinker, I mean, Ariana Grande, another message the next day after the election, holding the hand of every person who is feeling the immeasurable heaviness of this outcome today. The reality is, I was in New York, and I was there in 2016, and I was there again this time. The difference was unbelievable. And I would chart it back to when I went to the Madison Square Garden rally, just out of curiosity. And the Secret Service guy there, who was one of Trump's guys, said they were expecting thousands of protesters, as they would have had in 2016. 150 people turned up to watch Trump do a rally in the middle of Manhattan. And I remember saying to friends then, Trump's won this by a landslide. If even Manhattan's New York wokies can't get out of bed to come and shout at him when he's in the heart of their city, then I just think they've given up. And then you saw the reaction after the election. I was walking the streets of Manhattan, New York. There was nothing. There wasn't a single protest march. There was nothing. So they can all claim that they think he's the new Hitler. But I kind of think if the new Hitler had just been elected president of the United States, some of them might have joined a little march somewhere. But there weren't any anywhere. So where are we with all this, do you think, critical drinker?
Well, I think for a start, if he was going to destroy America and put people in prison camps and stuff, he probably would have done it in his first administration. He had 4 years to do all that.
Yeah, the other thing is, I don't understand how leftists just don't realize that he's already been president for 4 years. And, you know, to be honest with you, myself, I didn't follow politics back then that much. Since COVID, I started like following the politics much more, the most American politics, because myself I live in UK and I think it's just going down the hill the most with the current prime minister. But I mean, he was 4 years a president, and I remember when they used to call him a racist and all that stuff, attacking him all the time. Even I didn't follow politics that much, but I never see nothing racist that Trump did, right? So now again they just following this mainstream media narrative, and that whatever, Trump is racist, Trump is that, Trump is fascist, that he's a dictator. But he was 4 years president already. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, keep going.
That stuff, and he never did any of it, so I don't know where they get that idea from. And second, I love the idea that someone like Ariana Grande is going to have a political opinion about this. Like, people are actually going to go to her and say, what is her take on this? I wonder. Who cares? You're a fucking singer. As if it matters what you think about politics. As if it matters what any of these like Hollywood actors think about politics. As Gary quite rightly called them once, they are professional pretenders. Their one and only skill is their ability to say lines written by someone else in a fairly convincing manner. That's it. I don't care what you guys think about the war in Ukraine or the economy or the current political climate in America. Who cares?
You know, I had talking of immeasurable heaviness and hands and so on. I actually met Ariana Grande randomly in a restaurant in Beverly Hills a few years ago. and I'd been criticising her on Twitter, and her mum had joined in. And anyway, long story short, she came and joined me in this booth, and I felt the immeasurable heaviness of her hands around my neck, trying to throttle me in a friendly way. She pointed out the errors of my ways. Anyway, we resolved things over a couple of bottles of extremely expensive red wine that she bought. And she was there with all her team, her production team, and they were celebrating having 3 number 1 hits off the bounce in the Billboard Hot 100. And I was so happy for her because she's a very talented singer. But I don't care that she wants me to vote for Kamala Harris. I want to know what Kamala Harris, if I'm an American, is going to do to improve my life. And there was way too much of, look at my famous friends, they all like me. And by the way, he's the bad devil and you can't vote for him. And there was nothing on the what I'm going to do to make your country better bone. Let me come back to you, Ernest, because you're obviously in your defending the indefensible mode. Do you accept that one of the reasons, outside of the cost of living crisis stroke inflation, which was clearly a big issue for people, and the chaos of the southern border, up to 10 million people coming in illegally, was just ridiculous, whoever's president. Putting those 2 big issues aside, the third thing that really hit home with people was the wokeism issue. And I read a column for the New York Post saying, I really do think this is a tipping point. I think it's the moment woke began to die. I think just when you see so many Latinos and Black Americans voting for the guy that they've been told was a racist, so many Jews voting for the new Hitler, et cetera, they're basically doing a big 2 fingers up to the whole thing and saying, we just don't believe any of this crap anymore. You've out-woked yourselves. And by the way, if you want to keep telling me that biological men should be allowed to beat up women in boxing rings in the Olympics, I'm never going to vote for you again. Ernest, your thoughts?
Are you going to actually let me have them?
Yes, if you have anything that could actually respond to that.
Sure. Yeah, actually. So for starters, I would just say that a lot of these issues and the narratives of them and the misinformation about a lot of those issues, people are going to have to just F around and find out, to be honest.
What's the misinformation? What misinformation?
A lot of, I would
That's what
say
the Democrats did.
A lot of the promises, sure. Here's the thing. People's lives are going to be impacted regardless.
What misinformation, Ernest?
I'm going to get there. So the tariffs, right? About what he's going to do economically with tariffs. What is he going to do about immigration issues? His policies, the people he's going to put in his cabinet. Look, we can be here and we can.
Okay, I don't understand. What he means misinformation about tariffs? You said you're gonna increase the tariffs for certain countries forever. How is that a misinformation? I don't understand. That's a statement. That's not a misinformation. He didn't start his presidency yet. So you can't call it misinformation. I know, whatever.
And we can
What's
go
the
for
misinformation?
blows and talk about who's better. Can I finish?
What's the misinformation?
Okay, tariffs, the economic plan that he has.
What about
There's some misinformation there. Project 2025, which he denied he was going to do. And now his people have said that was a part of the plan. So which one is it, right?
No, you see, Ernest, the trouble is, the disinformation, Ernest, is actually now coming from your mouth. That's the problem.
He literally said, so let me correct you again, Piers. He literally said that he was not affiliated with Project 2025. Now his biggest advisors are saying that was a part of the plan, including Steve Bannon.
They're trolling.
Okay.
They're trolling.
You're familiar with the concept of a joke, right?
We'll see.
Yes.
So we'll see. We'll see if they're trolling. We'll see. We'll find out. But people are going to be impacted whether or not he is or isn't. But for a presidential candidate and his advisors to still be trolling after an important election shows you how immature and unserious they are.
I find it incredible that the party that decided to call.
Yeah, hang on one sec, Critical Trigger. Let Esther finish, then I'll bring you back in.
I find it incredible that the party that decided to call tens of millions of Hispanics Latinx didn't see a beat down on the horizon. What Hispanic person do you know that you can go up and say, "Oh, you're Latinx"? That wouldn't punch you across the face. I mean, it's ludicrous.
Yes, ridiculous.
That's like calling me Africanix.
Why don't you ask the Latinos? Do you want to be called Latinx? No, none of them did. It's weird. And just by the way, none of them seemed remotely offended by the comedians joke about Puerto Rico. None of them. Didn't make any difference.
Well,
no sign that any Puerto Ricans gave a damn. They saw that this guy's a roaster who roasted everybody, including his own mother, in the same speech, and just thought, you know what, he's quite funny. That's what roasters do.
Listen, we'll find out.
Meanwhile, Ernest is throwing his toys out of a stroller for 5 days about it, thinking.
If you invited comedian into the rally, you kind of should take him as a comedian, not as a politician. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. He's not a statement in any way.
The whole election just swung because the comedian offended Puerto Rico. It's like, they didn't, buddy. They had a sense of humor.
The fact that advisors are trolling and we are getting comedy back and more Puerto Ricans voted in this election than ever, that Tony Hinchcliffe, by the way, from Kill Tony pointed out, he's an international treasure.
It won't impact you.
Is the world healing? We can laugh at ourselves again.
No, the point is, Ernest, Puerto Ricans didn't think it impacted them. They saw it as a joke. And he didn't mean it to be offensive. He was just rinsing everybody. Let me ask you, Ernest, at some point, you deluded Democrats are going to have to face the music in your mirrors and realize that every single thing you stood for in this election got destroyed by the opposition. They vote, the American people, black, white, Jewish, Muslim, everybody gravitated to the bad guy. Because they're sick of this crap. Let me bring in
if Project 2025 happens, all of you all, if Project 2025 happens.
It's not going to happen.
What if it doesn't? Are you going to apologize?
Then we get the shake
If
machine.
Project 2025 doesn't happen, will you apologize?
What am I apologizing for? I hope that we have a smart Congress that blocks this nonsense. I hope that there will be checks and balances in place that it does not happen.
All right, let me bring the dropkick back in. Let me bring.
There's no way he would ever apologize. He never apologize. Never do. I'll never accept the truth.
Drolly back in. All right, Drolly, on a wider point about culture, celebrity power, and everything else, what do you think happens going forward now? Because we've been, saying how ridiculous these big stars were, but there's got to be a moment of reckoning for them too, where it almost becomes brand damaging now to get involved in this stuff. You look ridiculous. I mean, George Clooney, the way he behaved all summer looked ridiculous.
Let's not forget that the adult pretender still has a lot of sway with the political ruling class. It was George Clooney who penned the letter that got the big guy to step down.
Yeah.
And the article you referred to from Variety that I'm doing a video on right now, sorry to plug, but that they are trying to deny the fact that they said, basically adult pretenders and celebrities don't really move the needle. But it doesn't have an adverse effect, and that's what you said earlier is complete bullshit.
Yeah.
The celebrity endorsement is dead. We'll still get it all day long. We'll get it, but what they're going to have to deal with is the overall brand damage to their industry that they've had over the last decade, and this is just the culmination. The election is exactly the same thing. America rejected the political state and rejected Hollywood and everything Hollywood was about.
And the other thing, women didn't buy in to this narrative from the Democrats that on the one hand, critical drinker, we're the party for women's rights. So you've got to vote for us because of, say, abortion, okay, and abortion rights. Okay, it's a big issue, but America's pretty split on that. But at the same time, the same party that's all for women's rights, and he's the bad guy who doesn't want women to have any rights, they also were supporting things like transgender athletes being allowed to compete in women's sport, right? And that was just for most women, just like, what? Why would you do that? That's obviously damaging to women's rights. And there was that double standard and hypocrisy that I think drove a lot of women to go and vote for Trump, who just said quite simply, sorry, but if you're born biological male, you will not be competing against women in my administration. Well, good. Sorry, and doesn't want kids.
I'm really glad that Piers Morgan stand with it for really long time. For a really long time. So, since he still was in on the mainstream media, he was pointing this out all the time, all this nonsense, and he's so dead right in it. I'm like 100% agree.
Kids being mutilated before they've gone through puberty. Good. This is all stuff that, as a liberal guy, which I am, I'm completely in favor of. So if I am, so I can tell you, are the majority of Americans.
You're not liberal.
Guarantee it. Critical drinking.
I think at a certain point, common sense takes priority over partisan politics, and I think this election is probably a good example of that, where the average person just sees things that don't make any sense to them anymore and say, "No, I'm not doing this. I'm not voting for this. This is nonsense. I have to go for the other guy, even if I don't like him." And perhaps that's what happened in this case.
Yeah, I agree.
I think.
Hang on, I want to bring in just as part of our debate here, a notorious part of the star-studded Kamala campaign was the White Dudes for Harris movement, which looked and sounded like this.
I'm white, I'm a dude, and I'm for Harris.
The Biden-Harris administration was the most successful legislative administration.
The idea that men can gather to talk about how we feel. Interesting, powerful concept.
Which is why right now I am begging all of you to smash that donate button, because we owe it to the next generation of girls to not go through that hellscape times 2025 all over again.
Well, joining me now is the founder of that movement, the archetypal white dude for Harris, and a senior advisor of the Harris campaign, Mike Nellis. Well, Mike, thank you for coming on to Face the Music. I can't imagine it's been a comfortable week for you, because it turned out the white dudes all went and voted for the bad guy, Donald Trump.
Well, I wouldn't frame it like that, Piers, but obviously it was a tough week for Democrats. I mean, there is evidence in the exit polls that white men, both college-educated and uncollege-educated, voted for Kamala Harris more than they did for Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton in the previous two presidential elections. But I think there's an important conversation we need to have about the toxicity that exists in amongst white dudes in this country. I think we need to have a conversation about identity politics. I think we need to have a conversation about how we're going to move this country forward and get past the divisiveness. And what we did a few months ago was start a conversation inside the Democratic Party about how we're engaging with white men, how we're engaging with rural voters and other communities that Democrats don't do a very good job talking with.
Yeah, but you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when Gillette did that ridiculous new ad campaign several years ago, when they went away from sort of the chest-beating alpha male clutching a baby to sell their products and so on, a manly, masculine ad.
I don't really know that guy. Who is that guy? Yeah, I don't really know him.
To basically starting with a roll call video of horrible Me Too stories and demanding that men prove they're better than this. In other words, we think you're all horrible men, but if you buy Gillette, you know, we might help you become better people. And $9 billion off the bottom line later, Gillette did a screeching reverse and went back to the chest-beating alpha male stuff. And as a Gillette consumer for many years myself, hallelujah, because I don't want to be lectured by a shaving company about what a bad guy I am unless I can prove otherwise. I just want them to sell me razor blades and I want to feel good about being a man when they do it. And my problem with your campaign was you had all these guys. I mean, I have to be honest, it took a while to recognize some of them. But when I did recognize, there's like a bunch of slightly old white guys trying to virtue signal their way into saying we're all here for better people, better men. You know, there's all this toxicity. It just didn't wash. You know, young men were like, why are you treating me like this? That's honestly my view of it.
Well, Piers, I can tell that you actually didn't watch the call because it doesn't seem like you have a real sense of the conversation that we were trying to have. What we were trying to talk about. It
sounds like nobody else understood it either.
Attempt. Well, hang on. Hold on. I let you talk, Piers. Let me get into it for you because I'll give you a sense of what it was like because I don't think you watched it. But at the end of the day, we were trying to have a conversation about what it's like to be a man in America. And I think what I get frustrated with, you talk about manliness, you talk about the Gillette campaign. I don't know anything about that. I'm a Dollar Shave Club guy myself, frankly, if I shave at all, as you can tell. But here's the bottom line. I think from the right, you have a lot of people like Donald Trump, you have a lot of people like J.D. Vance and Andrew Tate and a whole bunch of others who want to define what it means to be a man. And they want to tell everybody that if they're not the type of manliness that they like, type of manliness that you see on the right, that you're not a real man. And I'm sick of that crap. Here's the truth. The conversation that we had is that there are some really serious conversations we need to have amongst white men in this country. For example, white men in America are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than any other group of people in the United States. I didn't hear either party talk about that. What we wanted to do is have a conversation about what's going on in our community, what's going on with the toxicity of that, how we build better mental health, how we take care of each other. We weren't coming in to lecture. I actually think one of the mistakes that Democrats often make is we come in and we lecture and you hear these things from, oh, all men are bad or all white men are bad or like blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you how great we are. There was none of that on our call. What there was a group of men, both people who were celebrities and a lot of people who weren't, coming in and talking about their experience of struggling with mental health, struggling with raising a family, struggling with their politics, struggling with building community and isolation and drug abuse and things like that. That clip you played of Sean Astin, and if you don't know Sean Astin, he's Rudy from the movie Rudy. I highly recommend you check it out. Or Samwise Gamgee in Lord of the Rings, if you don't know who he is. But he was talking about his brother who had struggled in his life with addiction. And one of the ways that he was able to get through the addiction that he struggled through his life was because he had this men's group that he went to, something like every Tuesday. He'd go once a week and they would talk. It wasn't quite AA, but it was something where they would come together and he would have a little bit of community. Men in America are struggling with isolation and community right now, and it was nice to hear a diversity of opinion
but you know
from white
what?
men
Listen, I
on the
don't
different
dispute that.
experiences and struggles that they're having.
I don't dispute that, but the problem is what they were getting from Trump. From the moment he got shot and stood back up and went fight, 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 to when he got in the McDonald's and served the fries and he got in the garbage truck, all this stuff. They just got a message that he's just a regular guy like them and he was going to sort their pay packets out, sort the southern border out and get rid of all the woke crap. And it was a message that resonated spectacularly well. And it made a lot of young men, because I talked to them, made a lot of young men feel good, great. I feel more confident now. This is great. It's an uplifting message. With all due respect, your message wasn't really uplifting anything. It just made people feel, oh God, there's so many bad things I've got to worry about in the world. And, it's just, to me, it's like chicken and the egg. It's going about it the wrong way. You should just tell people things are going to be great. And here's how we're going to make them great. And then guess what? If they turn out to be great, people feel great.
I do think there's a broader cultural issue that the Democratic Party needs to deal with. I think we often make people feel bad. I think it seems like we're lecturing people. I think we're not giving people the space to feel like they can be themselves. And I think the right has done a pretty smart job capturing on that and then trying to make it seem like we're your dad yelling at you because you're wearing a backwards baseball cap at the dinner table. And we need to do a better job of connecting with people. We need to do a better job of figuring out how we articulate our values. But one thing I'm going to push back on this entire conversation, I was listening to the panel that you had, is the idea that this election was decided on the culture, I think is wrong. And the idea that it was decided on things like, transgender kids playing sports,
no, it's part
I think
of
is
it.
wrong. This election was decided on the economy. Hold on.
Well, you're wrong. You're actually wrong.
I think this election was decided on the economy. Well, okay. Well, that's your opinion. You're allowed to
I've
have
already
it.
said.
But
I've already said it was decided on
election,
three things: cost of living, stroke inflation, immigration crisis on the border, and wokeism. They're the three things that decided this election. And if you don't think the transgender thing resonated with people, the New York Times said that single ad the Republicans kept putting out of Kamala's for they, them, Trump is for you, may have swung it by 2.5 percentage points, right? One ad. The most effective 30-second ad, they called it.
Well, let me talk about that ad, though. Hold on. Let me talk about that ad, though, because I actually think it was a really smart political ad by the Trump campaign. But at the end of the day, I want to make the point that I think people were really mad at Democrats about the economy. And I think it's a mistake if Republicans are going to try to argue that it was anything other than that, because people are really frustrated
then
when
I
they
think
go to
you're
the
living in
grocery
cloud
store
cuckoo land.
and the
Honestly, with all due respect.
Let me finish, though. The ad
Mike,
that they put together on the transgender stuff was really smart.
I think you're completely and utterly deluded if you don't think these other issues
Well,
resonate with people.
You're not letting me finish my point, Piers. So if you want to give me a minute to finish it so you can actually hear it, that would be great. Because what the Trump campaign did in that ad was really smart. At the end of that ad, there's a tagline that says, Kamala Harris is for they, them, Donald Trump is for us.
Yeah.
That's a really smart
For you.
political ad. As much as I'm frustrated with the conversation about transgender rights, what they did a good job of in their advertising campaign is making people feel like Donald Trump was going to fight for them, that Donald Trump was going to help them, and then for the most part tying everything back to the economy. If you look at even the border, because they did a lot of tying the border back to like housing, they did a lot of talking about like the economy and grocery prices, even the transgender stuff. Everything was about framing Kamala Harris as for other people, and I think to the point that you were making about celebrities earlier, we played into that a little bit by ending our campaign with so many celebrities that were then seen as lecturing. So that's the broader cultural issue. But I don't think it's that people were sitting at home being like, you know, oh, Kamala Harris wants to let transgender kids play track. Like, she wasn't advocating for that in the campaign. It wasn't an actual platform of that. I don't want to get into that issue necessarily, but what the Trump campaign did was other Kamala Harris.
Well, back with the panel in just a moment. But first, we continue with the Democrat meltdown. Exhibit A, this report from Inside Edition, on how women are fighting back.
In the wake of Donald Trump's historic win, there's a new movement sweeping America. Disappointed women are actually swearing off men.
There's no way I am letting any man near me for the next few years.
They're saying no to dating, no to marriage, no
next few years.
They're saying no to dating, no to marriage, no to sex.
Celibacy, at least to me, isn't that hard.
And no.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to switch on my mic. No, I mean, like, if oh gosh, there's no way I'm letting any man near me. Okay. Maybe no comment. Maybe no comment. You know, guys, what I mean.
For the next few years.
They're saying no to dating, no to marriage, no to sex.
Celibacy, at least to me, isn't that hard.
And no to having children.
Like so many other women in America who have been considering trying to get pregnant, I woke up today and said, nope. Not anymore.
This woman is actually shaving her head in protest. It's being called the 4B movement, and women are taking to social media declaring their allegiance.
Well, to tell us if women all across America are going on relationship strike is the host of Tommy Lahren is Fearless on Outkick, Tommy Lahren. Tommy, lovely to have you back on Uncensored. You've been incredibly busy for obvious reasons in recent weeks, so welcome back. These women are just all completely nuts, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And I would also say this. A lot of these women that are going on social media making this public announcement that they're no longer going to date men or they're not going to sleep with men, they're not going to have kids. They're doing it for the validation. They might say that they don't want attention from men. Well, they want attention, which is why they're making these announcements. I would also say for a lot of these women, I don't think that the demand for them is as high as they think it is in their own narcissistic mind. Like a lot of these women, they would act like men are beating down their door to.
That's the thing. They're not the ones that men are actually looking for. I think there is much more to choose from than those kind of women. No one wants this kind of woman. I mean, not any masculine man or real man wants a woman like that. It's just not. Absolutely not.
To sleep with them. For a lot of these women, it's probably not the case. And it's not just because of the way they look, it's because of the way that they act and the way that they sound. If you're wondering why Democrats lost with men and why the Republican Party has been able to make such gains with men, including black men and Hispanic men, it's because a lot of the liberals and a lot of the Democrats campaigning not only actively turned away men, but they've got female surrogates out there saying these kind of things. Well, we don't like men. If you think differently than us, then we're not going to date you. You can't sit with us. The whiny liberal woman turned away so many would-be Democrat voters. And for the sake of my party, I hope Democrats keep doing it. Keep shaving your head, keep wearing masks, keep getting the septum piercing, the mark of the
the one thing is, nobody cares. No, nobody cares. Nobody cares. You can shave your hair, you can chop your boobs off, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't work. No one cares at all.
The beast, keep doing it because we love to watch it. It's entertainment.
We've also had Nadrotic, the Guardian newspaper in the UK, which also publishes in America, has been on a weird little journey since the result. First of all, the editor of the Guardian, Kath Viner, did a message to staff. A Trump win could reverberate for 1 million years, it began. The result has been very upsetting for many colleagues, and she urged the UK staff to contact your American colleagues to offer your support because they will be most directly affected by the result. She then offered them personal counselling. If you want to talk about it, your manager and members of the leadership team are all available, as is the people team. And there were virtual well-being tools also made available to the poor Guardian journalists. I mean, Nadrotic, these people, what is wrong with them?
I think they see the end coming. The legacy media, like, it's dead. It's dying. And we have, as Elon has been posting on his own platform, we are the media now. Anybody can fire up a camera in their spare bedroom as a hobby and start talking about things. And that's the way we're going to get information in the future.
That's exactly what I did, to be honest. I've been thinking start doing it quite long ago. I just didn't have time. I was going through other things, and I just had a baby boy not long ago, 6 months ago. So I didn't really have time. But you know what? Yesterday I did sit down and I said, like, you know what? I'm gonna start do something, and I'm gonna start to react to things and talk about things. Because the most like myself, I'm a Lithuanian guy who live in UK, who really don't have nothing to do with US at the moment. I think US is very important. What happens in US is very important worldwide, to be honest. The most in UK as well, because we're very close. But you know, I always loved United States since I'm a little child. Since I've been in Lithuania, it's just I always want to live in US. Maybe I will one day. But yeah, I mean, like, so my opinion is kind of from a side. I'm looking from a side, yeah. But I think it's maybe my opinion is important. I hope so. I hope people will. I don't know, adjust their opinion, or I don't know. Okay, let's go.
It's going to be a little more difficult. But I would rather have that than have it spoon-fed me from some corporate legacy media source. And I'm had a great week. This has been fantastic watching everybody melt down.
You don't need counseling.
Best week. I've had a song in my heart. I don't need counseling, but I'll offer some. You can come over to this side.
Well, here's my offer of counselling for the ridiculous way they're all behaving. It's just grow a pair, which that sentence itself will send them raging away. But I don't care anymore. I don't care about offending little wokies anymore. It's over, right? We can say what we bloody well like now. I'm just done with it. Let me bring in Critical Drinker. The other thing the Guardian did, I mean, they weren't content with the counselling thing. They've now come off X, and in a new letter, they've told its readers, want to let you know that we no longer will post on any official Guardian editorial accounts on X. We think the benefits of X now being outweighed by the negatives, blah, 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 blah. And they cite the fact that Elon Musk is the owner. He's had a bad influence on making it more toxic and blah, 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 blah. What they really mean is that they lost badly. Their arguments were defeated badly. And a lot of them, like The Guardian, who have been pontificating their visceral hatred of Trump now for years, have probably been on the receiving end of a lot of people mocking them. And they just can't take it. And that's the other thing about the woke brigade. They are incredibly oversensitive and offended by everything. But if you stick it back at them, this is what they do. They run away.
Well, yeah, I mean, when it comes to The Guardian leaving X, to quote Jeremy Clarkson, oh no. Anyway, that's the way it is. No one cares. They are so used to X, or Twitter as it was for them back in the day, being their nice little echo chamber where everyone just agrees with them about everything. And when there's any dissenting voices, they get mysteriously banned or shadow banned or deboosted so that they never get any traction. And so when you actually have to compete in the marketplace of ideas and nobody's interested in your bullshit arguments, well, that's what happens. And they can't take it. They couldn't take the heat, so they're getting out of the kitchen.
And Tommy, Don Lemon has joined the bandwagon. He's now sensationally quit X. Of course, he's the guy that thought he had a deal with Elon Musk. And then after one interview, which was with Elon Musk cancelled the contract. And I know Don from CNN days. I get on well with Don. I saw him in New York in a restaurant, actually. Been a perfectly nice chat. But he's I don't know why he's done it. He's made some big video announcement to the world about quitting X. Let's take a look.
I have loved connecting with all of you on Twitter and then on X for all of these years. But it's time for me to leave the platform. I once believed that it was a place for honest debate and discussion, transparency and free speech. But I now feel it does not serve that purpose.
Tommy, how distraught are you on a scale of 1 to 1,000 that Don Lemon will no longer be talking to you on X?
Well, listen, I've never seen anyone thirstier than Don Lemon. He has been doing this the entire election cycle, trying to go interview people on the street with his man on the street interviews. He is so thirsty. He's a camel in the desert. He wants attention. I think he'll come back to X. But once again, just like all these 4B movement liberal weirdo women, he has to announce it with a video posted on the social media platforms because he wants attention and he wants validation. But we're also seeing historic layoffs at CNN. People are just sick of it. They're sick of these people, these cultural elitists like Don Lemon, like many others. They're sick of watching them. They're sick of listening to them cry. They also feel lied to because all these people told them how great Joe Biden was, that he was so cognitively proficient. Then they told him Kamala Harris was an excellent candidate. And look what happened to both of them. So a lot of people that used to watch these networks, used to listen to people like Don Lemon, they feel lied to and they don't want to watch it anymore. So Don Lemon, go enjoy, get on whatever platform, maybe OnlyFans, maybe Dancing with the Stars. Who cares at this point? We're sick of seeing you. Just look in the mirror if you want to talk to yourself so badly.
Well, I have a personal announcement, which is I will be staying on X permanently.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think loads of people like from the left who's been like on the mainstream as well, like CNN and stuff. They believe that they were right. They really believe it. They mean it. And now they're kind of disappointed. And maybe some of them got their eyes open and say like, shit, we've been on the wrong side all this time. And now they just feel embarrassed to, change their opinion publicly. So like that guy, whatever, how was it? So you just kind of leave X, which doesn't make any sense. At least don't announce it. Just leave it. No one cares. No one cares. Nobody cares. Okay.
Groundbreaking.
Because I love it. I love the mayhem. And I don't think it's got more toxic under Elon. I think what he's done is he's lifted the lid off everything so that it's no longer skewed one way. So you're not getting, as you were in the last election, just a constant stream of stuff that is anti-Republican and pro-Democrat. And if there's a story damaging against the Democrats, like the Hunter Biden laptop story, they simply removed it and wouldn't let anyone see it. I mean, that's the kind of censorship that was going on. And if the price for total free speech is that you get the odd person being a dickhead on X, well, trust me, they've always been there. It's just a lot of the dickheads I get are the ones on the left, who are just as vile, by the way, as the ones on the right. I want to play, Esther, you a clip from Dr. Amanda Calhoun, a Yale-affiliated psychiatrist, who was on MSNBC and was asked if family members have voted Trump, should you shun them for Thanksgiving and Christmas? Let's take a look.
When you know someone voted that way, do you recommend, just from a psychological standpoint, being around them? We got the holidays coming up.
I think the answer is absolutely not. So if you are going into a situation where you have family members.
What? Is she serious? Who is she? Wow.
Where you have close friends who you know have voted in ways that are against you, like what you said, against your livelihood. And it's completely fine to not be around those people and to tell them why.
Apart from the fact Joy Reid is the biggest lunatic on cable news in America and was...
This is insane. This is insane. Wow, I cannot believe that. And for example, if you are like in a kind of left middle, yeah, like, you know, not far left, and you see that, and if you like, you've been on the edge and you voted for Kamala, yeah, but you've been like on the edge, kind of, yeah, and you see that message now, what do you, how should you feel? You should feel like shit. Those people are lunatics. It's absolutely crazy. They're literally dividing the people, dividing the families for political reasons. Like, what? It's crazy.
Was also exposed as a horrible homophobic bigot. So when she goes on these rants about Trump, just remember that. Apart from that, the fact that a psychiatrist, Esther, affiliated with Yale, one of the great universities of the world, literally says don't go to see your family if any of them voted for the guy who just won by a landslide, who literally won it all. I mean, what does that say about these people?
I mean, one thing I've noticed is that the left, and I really don't like that term, but I'm going to use that, and the Democrats, because they seem to encompass that. They seem to become sort of the haven of the mentally unwell. So, I mean, and this kind of feeds into the culture war, right? Even though people are saying, you know, there's no conversation, there's no room for like white men to talk about mental health issues and all of that. Just look at who's on whose team. On the right, quote unquote, you don't really have these sort of saggy, very effeminate, whingy, cryy men. They seem pretty masculine. They seem like people that can actually do stuff. They seem people that are useful, that can start families and build communities. And on the left, you have these really mentally unwell, mentally unstable people. You have women shaving their heads and not shaving other parts of their body, unfortunately, having these cow bull things in their noses, you know, just completely being tatted up. They just look unhealthy. They don't look aspirational. And I think that's one thing that really cut through the noise. I mean, if you look at who you want to be, it's certainly not a lot of the people that you're seeing on the Democrat side, which they unfortunately got together and rallied all the troops and really had this sort of giant clown circus party that unfortunately America rejected soundly.
Let me bring in Mike. You're not looking very impressed by what you're hearing here.
Well, I just think it's a straw man argument, right? We've got to define people a certain way, and then we're going to take people on the extremes and try to drag them out.
You literally have a group called White
like
Men for Kamala.
The entire left looks. Yeah. So you've got to, you know,
I'm
one of the founders of a group. I'm one of the founders of a group called White Dudes for Harris. I have no problem with that. And look. Okay.
But you're not
there are a lot
anyone.
of conversations that need to be happening, but when we're out there having a conversation about whether or not people should go home for Thanksgiving, I think people need to do a better job of talking to one another and engaging with people who think differently than them. Obviously, I want people to do what's best for their own mental health, but at the end of the day, there's an awful lot of drama on the left right now that you're seeing, and you've seen some of these clips here, but we're grabbing small amount of things and trying to define that it's the entirety of the left, and I don't think that it is, and I think that's a mistake. What we do need to do is do a better job of talking to one another, and what we do need to do a better job.
But the problem is, right, that literally they're showing on the mainstream news, that thing. I know it's not everyone on the left like that, but it's keep showing on the news, and I don't know how is that a good thing. I'm not saying that it shouldn't happen. Of course, they can do what they want, and people choose. But people gonna, like I said, if you've been on the edge, right? If you've been on the edge and you voted for Kamala, right? But you kind of been on the edge. You voted kind of because your mama said, yeah, to do that. And you see that on the mainstream news. The psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever who she was, the lady, saying that, trying to separate you from your family because they voted for example, for, I know, the cousins, yeah, voted for Trump, and you voted for Kamala, but you wasn't sure exactly where to vote. Yeah, you wasn't sure, but you voted because, I know, your father voted for Kamala, so you voted for Kamala. And so what, you now cannot, you shouldn't go and visit your cousins for Christmas and spend time with them and have a chat with them, and this is just so dark. It seems to be such an evil thing to do. And yeah, if you are on that edge, you are the person on this edge. That's it. You're just gonna flip on the right straight away. Unless you are, I don't know, something's wrong with you, like the lady said, like mentally a little bit unstable. Where, okay, keep going.
Job of is there's a real culture problem in the Democratic Party. There's a culture problem, and I agree with some of the more conservative commentators here, where we've talked about how, you know, Twitter's become a much more fun place for conservatives. You can say whatever you want. I have no problem with that. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, I want it to be a place where people can talk. I think to a certain degree, Elon has taken it a little bit too far to the right. For example, my personal home address was doxxed on Twitter by a right-wing activist, and I reported it to Twitter, and they told me there was nothing wrong with posting my personal address. That's probably going a little bit too far. I think Democrats have a tendency to try to create their own little safe spaces. There's a lot of people who are moving over to Blue Sky right now instead of Twitter. I have accounts on both. I'm going to be staying on both. I'm going to be going home for Thanksgiving because I have two Republican parents. I want to talk to them.
I don't know what a Blue Sky is, to be honest. Yeah, I never hear of that.
Want to engage with them.
Okay, let me ask you, Ernest. I mean, you were looking enraged through some of what you were hearing, but why really? I mean, is anything that anyone's saying actually wrong? I mean, isn't the key message from this election that you guys just blew it?
I'm not enraged more than I'm bored. You all are, I mean, you're the cat with the cream and y'all looking yourselves for the rest of this show. So great. Dunk on libs like that's going to be what's wonderful. You all going to have the House, the Supreme Court, the public. You got it. Okay.
Ernest, if you'd won a landslide, you would be like 50 cats with 50 pots of cream.
This wasn't a landslide. I'm so tired of hearing that. My God.
So you're not even letting me talk.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't a landslide. Sorry, wait a minute.
It's not a landslide.
Let me just check the check. Hang on. Let me just go over the checklist. Last time I checked, Trump won the.
Sorry, I love the thing that Piers Morgan, he invites people from both sides, yeah, and some of them like from far left and far right, whatever, yeah, and in the middle, and then they just arguing, yeah, like when they just can't listen to each other. I find it so funny. It's very entertaining. It's very entertaining. He's doing a very good job with that. That's why he's got that many followers recently and all that stuff. Okay, let's go.
The White House. Yeah. He won the Senate.
Yes.
He won the House of Representatives. Yeah. He won the Electoral College. And he won the popular vote. I'm not sure what your definition of a landslide is.
Hang on.
That looks pretty landslidey to me.
That was an ass kicking. Let me ask you a question. Did Joe Biden win in a landslide 4 years ago? Did Barack Obama win in a landslide in 2008?
I certainly believe he won the election. He didn't have the clean sweep that Trump did.
Any president ever. The most
Donald Trump won the election. I'm not taking anything away from him, but like it was a close win. 225,000 votes in 3 swing states go differently, and Kamala Harris is the president. That's not that many people. And I think acting like it's some big mandate or some big electoral landslide when in the last 20 years we've seen bigger wins on both sides doesn't make any sense to me.
If this was on the other side, you would be, this is a mandate against Trumpism.
Maybe, but I mean, it's not. So
you're going to be saying it's the end of Trump.
Come on.
The white dudes came out for Harris. But the trouble is, Mike, the white dudes came out for Trump.
Of course they did.
Yeah, because
and Ernest,
what
did you
black dudes abandoning the working class?
What are we doing here? This is just a lot of yelling.
You get your guy in. Your guy is in.
Welcome to America, dude.
Good luck for 4 years trying to get some real stuff done. Get it done. Shut up. Who cares, right? About the liberals in Hollywood. You're so obsessed about people who clearly don't make a difference. So why waste your breath
You know what, Ernest?
People that you don't care about.
The trouble, Ernest, is that it may not just be 4
Get
years.
over it
Now, hang on.
Done.
Ernest, it may
Get it
be if Democrats remain as this deluded and this putting their fingers in their ears and pretending you didn't get beaten for the reasons you got beaten, you could be out.
Yeah, 100%. If Democrats not gonna change course in the next 4 years, I can predict straight away they got zero chance to win next election.
You could be out of the White House for another 12 years.
Hang on.
Let me
give you some credit here because I think you're right.
I honestly think that if the Democrats don't have a radical rethink,
4 years denying an election
for
Ernest,
4 years and then not get over that defeat.
If the
they
Democrats,
literally did an insurrection on January 6th.
if a
Shut up,
Ernest,
Pierce.
I won't shut up. It's my show for one.
Right.
And you are an
But you get to be
invited
a
guest.
bigot
And
for-
secondly,
yeah, guess what? You don't even
That's the other thing with those left people like that guy. That guy there. That guy there is a problem. Because they just attacking you so viciously. Viciously, like with zero tolerance. Like you're not a human. Like he's telling you shut up. You bigot. Look at yourself, man. Who the fuck you think you fucking are? You call him bigot. Ugh. Like how anyone can make a conversation with you when you're talking like that? You know what I mean? If someone talked to me like that in front of me, to me like that, I mean he can talk like that because he's on the other side of the camera, yeah. So that kind of makes sense. He would not probably talk like that in front of him. Why is this disgusting? It's disgusting language. It's disgusting language. And I know. That's why I think people sometimes they just lose their temper like that. It's not nice.
There you go.
And secondly, Ernest, a little bit of advice from your British mate. Ernest, a little bit of advice from your British mate. If you guys don't dramatically change your radical positions on stuff, you will not be back in the White House for 12 years. Tommy, let me come to you. Tommy?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm just politely raising my hand. Ernest, I believe that's your name. I'm going to tell you why we're doing this. It's to help you out, first and foremost. We want the Democrat Party to be sane again. We would love that just for the sake of this country, for the sake of the world. We'd like some sanity on your side. But also, selfishly, it's really fun for us, okay? You guys have spent the last 10 plus years calling us racists and Nazis and deplorables and garbage. And now you lost so badly. So yes, we're going to take a couple of victory laps because it's fun for us. This is going to be fun for the next 4 years. Get ready for it. We're going to enjoy.
You still are. You still are. Yeah, of course.
Enjoy it, okay?
Right. And you're not going to get anything done outside of dunking, and you all will lose again because politics
we're gonna
is
get
done.
stuff
You're
done,
gonna
too.
backstab
Do both. Watch us.
There's going to be lots of backstabbing over there in the Trump camp. He's going to lose the appointees. I promise you that these people he's appointing right now will not make it in 2 years, most of them. There's going to be a lot of backbiting, arguing within Republicans, establishment ones, rhinos, and everybody else. You all will spend time obsessing over trans people and celebrities, and you're not going to get most of your agenda done because you're going to be too busy fighting and taking dunks at liberals rather than getting things done for the working class.
Ernest, I'm worried. Ernest, I'm
I
genuinely worried,
in
Ernest,
now?
about your blood pressure. Mike, very quickly, please.
Go ahead. I'm worried about yours.
Pierce, I actually think you said something that was right, which is that Democrats do need to take a hard look in the mirror and talk about the way we're engaging with people, talk about the way we're talking about the economy and putting our policies together.
Yeah, that guy, like literally, I don't know, I never saw him before yet, but that guy, you see, he seems a little bit to be on a fence. He seems a little bit to be on a fence. I mean, like he really wants to change the Democratic Party. Yeah, that seems right. And yeah, he makes much more sense the way he talks than the other guy. That dude. Yeah. So yeah.
Together, talk about the way we're handling things like the border. We have serious issues that we need to address. We have to change the way that we campaign. We have to change the way that we talk to people. We have to change the way that we organize. And there's a lot of work that has to be done. So I think we need to sort of stare into the abyss. And I appreciate that all the conservatives on this call are having a good time. Enjoy the win. It feels good to win. I personally am going to get back to work and try to figure out what we need to fix in the Democratic Party, along with a lot of other people. And we'll see you guys on the ballot probably in a couple of months for some of these special elections. So
you know
we'll see.
what? You know the guy.
Like I said, this is fair enough. I like what he's saying. Yeah. Because how I know Democratic Party is to be really good. Like what kind of Republicans is now? It just changed the sides, and he's right. He just he accept Republicans as the winners, and he tried to see if they can fix Democratic Party and put it back to normal, which is It's a logic thing to do.
guy I really want to meet is the guy who was running a secret Latino dudes for Trump, because whoever that guy is had a fantastic election. Critical Drinker, very quickly, are we going to see a sea change in Hollywood as they come to terms with the scale of its loss and realize the error of their ways? Are we going to see, for example, a reboot again of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and actually let dwarf actors appear as dwarf characters? Could this happen?
I'm still holding out for my dwarf actors in this. Yeah, I think awards season is going to be the benchmark for this kind of thing. It's too early to tell at the moment, but I will say they are not in the commanding position that they were in 8 years ago when you had the extreme backlash against this sort of thing. They have had year after year of flop, financial disasters, franchises absolutely destroyed. I think the general public has made it clear to them they are done with this shit. And they do not want to hear Hollywood's political opinions anymore. So if they have an ounce of common sense, and that is a big if, they will shut up about this stuff and just get back to making good movies.
God, hallelujah. Wouldn't that be great? And you know what? The first thing they should do is say, you know, we've seen the mood of this election, and the next James Bond is going to be a big, strapping bloke who's going to go back to seducing women left, right, and centre. He's going to chain smoke. He's going to drink all sorts of great stuff, martinis, shaken, stirred, any way you like. He's going to kill every baddie that comes in his way, sometimes ruthlessly and heartlessly without a second thought. That's going to be the new James Bond, because that's the Bond we all loved. And Ernest, you're going to grow to love it, mate. Trust me. Thank you all to my panel. Great to see you all. Thank you.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, so it finished. Yeah, it's done. And yeah, he's right. He's right, Piers Morgan. I missed as well. I missed those days when I was when I was a kid. Yeah, all those movies being amazing. And everything was just different. It was more strict and more like I don't know. That's the thing, because in Lithuania we got very, I think, similar culture and everything like that. Like we in EU now and all that stuff, and but I think it's like more conservative, or how you call it, kind of values, Christian values, and just much more respect to other people, I think. But yeah, guys, anyway, what do you think? This is my first live stream, so I don't know if you consider to follow me. I'll try to make those live streams more often, as I try to find much more time to do that. And what topics would you like me to talk about? I'm also interested into AI stuff, into cars, all that kind of stuff. So if you just comment below any other political topics or any other topics you would like me to talk about, please let me know. Please subscribe, like, share, and all that stuff. And I'm sure my videos gonna improve with time going. Like I said, this is my first live stream. It's my second YouTube video. I uploaded one yesterday, so I'm not that good yet. And yeah, guys, so that was over an hour. That's nice. I'm pretty sure no one else watching it yet, but I'm gonna save the video and hopefully more people gonna watch it, see it, and give their opinions. Okay, guys, have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time, probably soon. I'll try to schedule the next one in so you can guys see when it's happening. Bye bye.